Pushpita and Alex Goldman here for From the Stands, and we are joined by the woman who makes her return to the Australian mixed martial arts scene in a few weeks' time, coming up against AMENA HADAYA for the vacant eternal flyweight title. Jacinta, thank you so much for giving us some time this afternoon. We really appreciate it. Firstly, how are you?
I'm good, doing really well. Camp's been fun.
Awesome, yeah. Glad to hear. First thing I want to touch on, Jacinta, obviously, and one thing I spoke to Lisa Kiriakou about as well, which was you sort of going away and leaving the mixed martial arts scene here for a little while, not too long, but a little bit, and going and competing in Oktagon, which I think you should be commended for. And I think it was a really good move for your career, because I think you get a great amount of experience over there, really tough competitors, tough opponents. And you also get the aspect of competing in front of fans and when I mean fans, I mean tens of thousands of people, and you get the lights and the pyro and everything feels like the UFC. So when you get to the UFC, it's not as big of a culture shock. It's you're accustomed to it. I guess for you, how beneficial was that time spent in Oktagon?
Yeah, like you said, it was definitely the right thing. There was, a couple of options I could have scraped from to get fights here, but if you're preparing, which I am, to fight the best in the world and to be in the best promotion in the world, you need experience with those girls that are a bit higher level and that have a lot of experience themselves. So fighting in Oktagon, every opponent they gave me was in the double digits and had majority wins. And the stage that you fight on, I didn't really realize till I got there the first time how big it was. It's a bit of a smack in the face for the first one, but it's really awesome. It feels I've been to a UFC event, it feels very much like that, and the European fans are pretty hardcore, so they really set the atmosphere for it.
Yeah, and touching on your time in Oktagon, your last opponent, Carolina, could have received what could be called a small cut, quite a small cut. But I guess my question is, were you surprised that wasn't stopped? Because that was obviously quite a severe cut, and I had a look at some of the commentary afterwards, and some people were saying it looks like a stab wound, one of the worst cuts they've seen. Were you surprised that fight wasn't stopped?
If I'd cut her maybe in the first or second round, maybe, but it was the final round, and it was up on the head. I mean, it was moving into both of our eyes. It was moving, like, if we clenched up, I remember it being in my eyes, in my mouth. I remember tasting it. So there was a lot of blood, but maybe because it was the last round and it was quite high, he had let it go.
Yeah. Jacinta, what led to the return back to Australia and competing on Eternal? Was, like we mentioned, it was very beneficial for you in that time spent in Oktagon. Was there consideration to perhaps have more fights over there? And ultimately, what drew you back to coming back and competing for Eternal?
So my Oktagon contract was for 3 fights. So I fulfilled all those 3. The option after that was to re-sign for another 3, or to go off and do whatever I want to do. When you're fighting in Europe, the turnaround can be quite slow. They're going to send you 30 hours back, then shop around to get you another one, bring you back again. It could be, it was too long. I didn't want to wait that long. I'd probably end up waiting at least 3 months. So I wanted to fight again as soon as possible. So we just had a little fish around to see what was available here, knowing Eternal was coming to Sydney. And straight away they gave me AMENA's name. We said, why not? Like, it's for the title. It's upper weight, but it's for the title. It's very worth it. Especially if I'm just kind of, I feel, on the doorstep of my UFC shot. So if I could bag another win, I think that's all I really need.
What's up, guys? It's Josh here From the Stands. And look, I know you're in the middle of a good little interview that we're currently doing, but I want to take a second of your time just to give a quick little shout out to today's sponsor, TrainAid. Obviously, they're big supporters of us, like we are of them, and today they're sponsoring this video. And look, I want to let you guys know about a little product they do, their premium product. Trainade Hydration. It's the best hydration formula on the market, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. And look, if you don't believe me, ask guys like Israel Adesanya, Alexander Volkanovski, Leon Edwards. You ever heard of these guys? I mean, they're the top athletes in the world. And they're all taking Trainade Hydration. It really is the #1 formula in the world for hydration. And in the summer months here in Australia, I mean, it's something that I think everyone should be taking. And Trainade have been very nice to give us a discount code, a very healthy discount code as well. I mean, it's a nice little discount code. If you use the code FTS15 at the checkout, they will give you 15% off. We'll leave a link to their website in this description of this video. And yeah, check them out, guys. Please support them because they are supporting us. Cheers.
Yeah. Jacinta, you've spoken in the past about sometimes, embracing that underdog role. And, it's something that a lot of fighters have spoken about, that they'll sort of embrace it. And I'm wondering, for you personally, is it because it's more of a motivator knowing there are people out there that are doubting you? Or do you feel that sort of embracing that underdog role maybe takes some of the pressure off heading into the fight?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think I think I've got a bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I like to prove people wrong. Yeah, it does take some of the pressure off. Like when everyone's supporting one person, it kind of hypes you up a little bit to go in there and cause a bit of an upset. I don't think I'm the underdog in this one, but I still wanna upset a few people.
Exactly. And sometimes I feel like when you carry that underdog mentality, even though when you're not the underdog, it puts you in a greater position for this fight. And let's touch on it. Obviously, AMENA, she's had some international fights as well. I guess when you said you offered the name, you said, "Yep, no problem, let's do it." What are your thoughts on her as a fighter and her skill set and her career progression so far?
She's a go-getter. I reckon she fights any name they give her. Um, she's aggressive. She's obviously in great shape. We've trained together a few times. I was helping her out with one of her fight camps maybe over a year and a half ago, so it was a while ago.
Yep.
I just think while she's done well locally, the girls that she has done well against, I don't know that you can compare them to the girls that have been fighting overseas. Not to say that she won't bring it and it won't be a hard fight, but I think there's a difference in skill and experience that, granted, she did have that fight in UAE where that chick was very high level. So granted, she did have that one. But you didn't see her be able to use any of her normal weapons against someone at a higher level. So I think that's going to be the story of this fight. Is just the level that we have both competed at is very different.
Yeah.
I think that's going to show in them.
Yeah. Jacinta, I'm curious to know, as you say, there's going to be a bit of an experience gap. And I guess my question for you is that as you're getting more experienced in the game, are there any new additions that you're adding to your training in terms of whether it's, more strength and conditioning, more focus on cardio, maybe even more focus on just sleeping better for recovery? But are there any new additions to your training, or do you think that you've got a formula that works well for you, has worked well for you on the come up, and it's just about sort of refining that?
I actually stopped strength and conditioning altogether before my last fight. I just found, like, I am quite a strong person to begin with, and I know that it's quite good for injury prevention and this that. But I found the time that it was taking me and the toll it was having. I would rather spend my time on the skills work. So if I have the option to do an hour and a half of strength work, I'll take an hour and a half of jiu-jitsu technique instead. So just, yeah, I found it better. I definitely do conditioning still, but I don't do any strength work. And other than that, yeah, just a big focus on I'm only so young in MMA, and what you can know in MMA.
Yeah.
And especially when you break each individual discipline down, they have so much work to do. So yeah, I find my time is better spent on the technical side.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacinta, with your fight coming up against AMENA, I think right now the Australian scene, there's so many people clamoring for a UFC shot, and I think that's amazing, especially in the men's and as well in the women's. We've got Lisa fighting on the road to UFC soon, and you're obviously right there as well. With a win over AMENA claiming that title, the eternal title, for you, is that sort of the benchmark where you go, okay, I win the title, I want nothing else but the UFC next? Is that sort of your mindset heading into this fight, that it's UFC next and nothing else?
Yeah, that's my mindset. Ideally, if I were to get that opportunity, it's going to be towards the later half of this year. I know that much. And I know that they look strongly upon people who do keep busy.
Yeah.
So if I win this fight and come out with no damage and all goes to plan, maybe Eternal will ask me to defend it, or maybe I could even go back down to strawweight and fight for the Eternal strawweight belt and have 2 belts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm all for, like, if I have to fight again, like, I love fighting. I will fight again. But as far as signing with promotions, like you said, Lisa's getting her chance. The girl I fought last was already on Contender Series, and she won on there. So after this win, yeah, that's where I think I should be.
Have those conversations with the UFC that you were aware of, have they begun in terms of they're keeping their eye on you and they definitely know who you are at this point?
Yeah, I have a new management now. I'm with Rival Management, which is I don't think it gets much better than that.
Yep.
Yeah. So there are talks, but I'm trying not to look past anything but this fight, because I've seen it before. I've seen I felt so close, and then it slipped away. So I'm fully just concentrating on performing the best I can in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So then I guess my question for you is, obviously we know that what your goal is in MMA, you want that shot at the UFC, as you say, it's very close for you. And, I do think that it definitely will come quite soon. But I guess then my question is for you, either also within the world of MMA or even outside of MMA, what are your other goals for the rest of 2024?
I don't have many, hey. I've revolved my entire life for a while now around this goal. I moved closer to the gym in January. I'm just a little stone's throw, a couple streets away now, so I'm there all the time. I've kind of just committed my entire life to this at the moment, so I don't really have too many goals outside of that. I do work full-time as well. I do quite enjoy my job, but the goal is that I won't have to continue doing that for too much longer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty one-track minded at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like you're either a goal person or you're not. There's no in between. So
yeah. You just chase that thing down all the way.
Yeah, 100%. Love it. No plan B. That's the way that I think success happens. Jacinta, appreciate your time today. We wish you all the best in preparation, the final preparation for AMENA HADAYA on May 24th, Eternal 84 for the flyweight title. It's going to be a big fight, and one that when I saw it announced, I thought, wow, like that was a big sort of blockbuster fight in my mind. I think a lot of people are going to be tuning in, and I do think the UFC is going to be watching. So I wish you all the best. Alex wishes you all the best as well, and we can't wait to see you go out there and perform.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Nice. No worries. Thanks, Jacinta.
Thank you.